Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first microsode for On Topic Retro. I'm calling it a microsode because moving forward, these little episodes in between the main show, we'll just have myself sharing my experiences and kind of going over some things with the game. I just wanted to differentiate it between the regular episodes. These will be much shorter because it's just me. There won't be anybody else to share the topic with. So, and I just really wanted to see how this goes. This isn't something that's a permanent, or I don't even know how often they'll be. They'll just be whenever I have time. And I kind of want to keep them to games that don't necessarily have a whole lot to discuss, but definitely worth bringing up. Games that I really liked. So today's game is going to be Super Mario Land. This is a pretty special game to me. I really loved Mario as a kid, and I think it stems, I think I've mentioned this before on Retro Logic, but I had a lot of experience with Super Mario Brothers with my grandma, and she would play with me whenever I would visit her in the summertime and around Christmas time, and she would just plug up the NES and build up a whole bunch of lives for me to waste as I tried to play and learn how to play Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, I mean, I remember she could rack up lives really fast, and it would just blow my mind back then because I didn't realize how easy it was to, run through the game a little bit and get a bunch of lives. And I would basically cut my teeth on video games playing Mario with my grandma. So Mario has a special place in my childhood, and Super Mario Land is no different. This was the first game that I got on the Game Boy. I think, well, when I got my Game Boy, it was used, and I'm pretty sure it came with it whenever I got it. I think I had it, Super Mario Land, and Tetris. And, of course, I do love Tetris, don't get me wrong, but Super Mario Land was the first game that I wanted to play whenever I got my little bundle of games. And I played for a long time. I played for months probably before I actually beat it because I wasn't very good. I believe I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So just kind of learning things, and it played a lot different than Super Mario Brothers on the NES. And I guess that will lead us into, I'll talk a little bit about the gameplay with it. Just a small little bit of overview on the game. Super Mario Land released in 1989. This was a must-have for the release of the Game Boy. It was a launch title for the Game Boy. And from my understanding, Nintendo kind of went to Yokoi and said that you need to have a Mario game for the launch of the Game Boy. And this was kind of something I don't think he was prepared for right off the bat, and had to put together a team, which was Nintendo R&D1, to work on this game. And this is also the only Mario game that Shigeru Miyamoto didn't have any involvement in. It was strictly Gunpei Yokoi and the specific team. It was developed with handheld in mind. It had to be a smaller, more playable on a smaller screen than Mario Brothers on the NES. So a lot of changes had to be made. And we'll talk a little bit about that when I get into the gameplay part of the show here. But not only the gameplay changed, but I don't know that we really had I'd have to look back. I haven't really looked into the deep lore of Super Mario Brothers, but I don't think there's a mention of where exactly it's taking place, like a name. But Super Mario Land is set in Sarasaul Land, which is, when you just look at the different places you go to in the game, is a different place than what Super Mario Brothers takes place in. It is also the debut of Princess Daisy. Before this game, we didn't have Daisy, and she kind of became a staple of the Mario series after this. But yes, this was a totally different venture for Nintendo and Mario being handheld. And the story of this game too is a little bit on the shorter side, and that's kind of why I wanted to do some of these for a microsode where there's not a whole lot going on with the game. It's just one of my favorite games on Game Boy, and I wanted to talk about it, so I figured this would be a good one to start with. The story of this game, and I pulled this directly from the instruction booklet. It says, once upon a time, there was a peaceful world called Sarasol Land. In this world, there were 4 kingdoms, one named Birabudo, one named Muda, one named Easton, and one named Chai. And one day, the skies of Sarasol Land were suddenly covered by a huge black cloud. And from a crack in this cloud, the unknown space monster Tatanga emerged to try to conquer Sarasol Land. And Tatanga hypnotized the people of all the kingdoms so that he could control them in any way that he liked. In this way, he took over Sarasol Land, and now he wants to marry Princess Daisy and make her his queen. Mario comes to find out about these events, and he has started on a journey to the Chai Kingdom to where Princess Daisy is held captive in order to restore peace to Sarasol Land. So that's just kind of a snippet from the instruction booklet. I think there's not a whole lot of story to this game. I mean, it's the basic Mario principle. Princess gets taken by boss enemy, and you have to go get her. So they don't really diverge from that in this game. And that kind of sets up the gameplay topic of this for this game. And it, like I said earlier, it's a little bit different than Super Mario Brothers. It takes a lot of likenesses to the original games in the series, and then kind of changes some things because it's in a handheld setting and also designed by a different person. So you get a little bit of a different look at Mario. The gameplay being slightly similar to Super Mario Brothers, just a shrunk down version to fit on Game Boy. Mario feels a little bit floaty. His sprite is very small. So if you haven't played Super Mario Land, that's one of the very first things you'll notice. It's kind of, you almost have to kind of squint to see Mario's sprite. He's so tiny. But it makes sense because he has to play on a very small screen, less than 2 inches. And the levels vary in type throughout the game. You'll also notice that the fireball was replaced by what they call the Super Ball. Instead of kind of gently bouncing across the floor of the levels, it now will bounce one time off the floor and then just take off, in the same trajectory every time. It allows you to hit some enemies in higher places. You can use it. I mean, it's not a direct replacement for the fireball and how it works, but it's pretty close. But I guess it was just a change. If I had to try to put a reason why they changed is maybe they couldn't animate the fireball on such a small screen. So maybe they decided to go with just a round ball instead. Some other changes, we get the Marine Pop and Sky Pop levels, which are added. They add a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up type gameplay to the game, which is very unique to Mario. I don't know that we ever really see these gameplay elements again. I could be wrong, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. They're also, as I mentioned earlier, the 4 kingdoms. They're all very different from previous Mario games. You have the Birabudo Kingdom, which is a desert. The Muda Kingdom, which is aquatic, which I guess there are aquatic levels in Mario, but just not all together like this. You have the Eastern Kingdom, which is based off of Easter Island, and the Chai Kingdom, which is based around ancient China. And each kingdom has a boss at the end. You have the Gao, the Sphinx-looking enemy boss, and his name is Toto Meso. And you have and I believe he's at the end of the first level there. And you have the Yuriaran Boo boss, and he's like a seahorse enemy that's in the game, and his name is Dragon Zamzu. I'm probably going to butcher a lot of these names. And then you have a Tokotoku, like the little moe heads from Easter Island. It's those enemies, and he is a boss. And then his name is Hihoi. And then on the last kingdom, you fight a cloud boss named Biokington. And all these bosses, they play a little bit differently. Some of them you defeat by damaging them. Some of them have a button you press on the other side of the level to defeat them. Just varies in what you have to do. And then last but not least, you get done fighting those bosses at the end of each of those kingdoms, and you must defeat Tatanga himself. And this also is a different type of boss fight because you're in your little airship, which I guess whenever you fight the seahorse boss, you're in the submarine, which is similar. And those are the side-scrolling type, same, not necessarily a power-up, but you're in the ship in the submarine and you shoot the missiles like a side-scrolling shoot 'em up for the boss fight. And Tatanga is not just like traditional bosses in Mario where he's just standing there and he jumps, or like Wart in Super Mario Brothers 2. He's actually in an airship himself named Pegasu, and the whole battle is just a little bit different. Like I said, you're in your airship and you're firing missiles at him, and this is all. I make it sound like it's this huge shoot 'em up game with awesome graphics. It's still Super Mario Land, and it's all this very small sprites and how you see it, but it's still a pretty epic battle whenever you get done with it. And that's pretty much the basic rundown for Super Mario Land. There's not a whole lot to it. It's unique in that it is the first handheld Mario that we ever get. And it's never revisited, really. Even Super Mario Land 2 takes a totally different gameplay style. You just never really go back. It has huge sprites. It changes totally from the original game. But yeah, that's Super Mario Land. I think I'm going to try to do some of these smaller games and probably keep them to Game Boy for a little while, because Game Boy tends to be a smaller game that doesn't have a whole lot of story. Not always, but they're usually, especially the stuff that I played a lot as a kid, were usually like a micro version of an NES game or a Super Nintendo game with less story and usually smaller in size, less levels. The gameplay is usually there, but they're just slightly different. So probably stick with Game Boy for a little while on these. And like I said, I don't know how many of these micro-sodes that I'll do. I'll just kind of do them as I get time to do them. And hopefully at least do one a month is what I would like to do. Can't promise I'll get one every other week like the regular show. But yeah, I will see you guys on the next microsode, and you guys can look forward to the next full episode of On Topic Retro the following week. And I'll see you guys later. Bye now.